multiple states. More than a dozen current and former Penn State students accused of doing more than studying in college. Attorney General Dave Sunday says they were trafficking cocaine across multiple states. 13 have been arrested. Police searching for one more. CBS 21's Andrew Klein is in State College tonight with how this case got blown open.
It was dubbed Operation Drugs Unlimited. Today, Attorney General Dave Sunday announcing that students from Penn State brought cocaine to the school and sold it from frat houses like this one here behind me, Sigma Chi.
Between 2023 and 2024, large amounts of cocaine, kilos, were brought from Philadelphia and New York to State College, where they were cut and packaged for sale primarily to Penn State students.
14 warrants out for the arrests of current and former Penn State students, and one...
Boy, that crime in Chicago.
Father of a former student. The charges surrounding what Attorney General Sunday...
All right, hold on. That dude, hold on. The father, you mean Pops got in on the action?
Between 2023 and 2024, large amounts of cocaine, kilos, were brought from Philadelphia and New York to State College, where they were cut and packaged for sale primarily to Penn State students.
14 warrants out for the arrests of current and former Penn State students, and one father of a former student. The charges...
He does not look like he is ready to go to prison. He's like, damn it, why'd I do it? I think he was concealing evidence or something like that, trying to help his son get away with that rap. You know damn well he was in on that weight. They was moving it. Let's go.
Surrounding what Attorney General Sunday called an upper-level trafficking organization in State
Hold on, I want to go back to the other dude here.
Drugs Unlimited. Today, Attorney General Dave Sunday announcing that students from
Bear with me.
State brought cocaine to the school and sold it from frat houses like this one here behind me, Sigma Chi.
Between 2023 and 2024, large amounts of cocaine, kilos, were brought from Philadelphia and New York to State College, where they were cut and packaged for sale primarily to Penn State students.
14 warrants out for the arrests of current and former Penn State students, and one...
Now, if you know what to look for, that looks like a cocaine dealer. You know, these white boys don't fool me. And he don't even got to speak. He got that work for you. You see, when you have a trained eye and you don't think that every drug dealer is what they show you in Hollywood, let's keep going. Well, then again, it's the year 2026, so we should know better. I'm still thinking about back in the day, in the 90s, the 80s, the early 2s, when they had everybody thinking that drug dealing came from menace to society. Let's go.
Father of a former student. The charges surrounding what Attorney General Sunday called an upper-level trafficking organization in State College.
This was a coordinated and organized cocaine trafficking operation with regular trips to those source cities and large amounts of cocaine being brought back to these fraternities.
Charging documents list Thomas Robinson as the ringleader from Delta Upsilon.
I guarantee they call him Tommy.
With Robinson's father being arrested for his alleged attempt to conceal evidence using a safe. But Sunday pointed at Agostino Abatiello, the Sigma...
Agostino Abatiello. I can't tell if that's a Russian, a Latino, or an Arab. In Italian, Abatiello, let's go.
An operations ringleader as, quote, the largest dealer of cocaine for Penn State University students.
Damn.
Evidence showed that cocaine was primarily packaged at the fraternity houses and that packaging was done by fraternity brothers and oftentimes pledges.
So you went to join a fraternity and they had you in there working like the white boy version of Nino Brown in New Jack City. I'll be damned. How long has this been going on college campuses? Probably forever. I mean, so what happened if you didn't package enough? Did you get paddled with that paddle they be having on the wall? Let's keep going.
In fact, we found a pattern of events that showed cutting and bagging cocaine was, for some pledges, an indoctrination into the Delta Upsilon and Sigma Chi fraternities.
The university responding to the charges in a statement it released on its website, denouncing the actions of the students and announcing a suspension of Delta Upsilon while the Student Affairs Department investigates. The school also saying that Sigma Chi is not recognized as an organization and operates outside of the university's support and oversight.
The packaging happened at off-campus fraternity houses, and the actual drug dealing was largely from friend to friend, fraternity brother to fraternity brother, acquaintance to acquaintance, and at fraternity houses and or during parties or social engagements.
Sunday also issued a general warning for future Penn State students and current students as well that if you go down this path, you're going to have to face the repercussions because law enforcement is coming. In Center County, Andrew Klein, CBS 21 News.
All right, welcome back. I'm here with former U.S. Marshal Mike Regan, and we're taking a closer look at the Penn State University drug investigation.
He looks like a cokehead to me too. Usually the white boys that have that oily skin and that oiled up hair, that slick back hair, they look like they are snorting cocaine. I'm sorry, they just do.
Drug trafficking investigation. We just told you about this earlier this hour. Andrew Klein there in State College. What stands out to you when you hear trafficking cocaine at Penn State University? With kids involved, like a dozen kids.
Yeah, but I think kids using cocaine on college campuses is not all that unusual. That's been happening throughout the years. What strikes me is the volume of it. I mean, kilos and kilos, and traveling in interstate commerce, going to New York and picking up cocaine and bring it back, going to Philly and bringing it back, using pledges, to do the dirty work of cutting it and packaging it. It sounds like it's actually, I think it's named in the indictment, a racketeer, corrupt organization.
Yeah.
Which is
very involved.
Yeah, very involved.
How do police find out about something like this initially with this large scale operation going on?
Well, look, I knew nothing about this case in particular,
Right.
but historically,
Man, where's the language of thugs? And it's a danger to the community. They should be locked up for life. They're handling this with very soft tones.
speaking, someone gets caught with cocaine. Police interrogate him. Where did you get it? And that may lead to him wearing a wire or doing a controlled buy. And that the police just work it backwards. So from there, they just keep flipping people over. Look, in my experience as U.S. Marshal, I can tell you that there is always a cooperator or multiple cooperators. So as soon as you get caught and you're looking, oh my gosh, I'm in college, my future's in jeopardy, I'm going to go to jail, they will cooperate, and they'll cooperate against their friends, and this will happen. It'll be like a domino effect.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's what happened in this case.
What is the difference between, I know we have this large-scale operation according to Attorney General Dave Sunday.
Yeah.
There are smaller operations too probably happening on campus, but what is the likelihood that this is happening at other campuses? Something like this huge ring.
Well, it's a big campus, 40,000 students. So if you look at that in comparison to Harrisburg City, is 50,000, right? So it's a big operation. There's a lot of potential clients out there. So this was a fairly big ring. You know, I'm just curious. So using pledges to do the dirty work, like I said, I wonder if there's hazing or if they were forced or coerced. I'm sure there's a lot of very serious conversations going on around the dinner table right now about what was your role in this and why were you doing it?
I was thinking
They were doing it to make money because they're slanging dope. I wonder if they came in with guns blazing, shooting people like they do in the hood.
too, as a parent, like if I found out my child was involved in this, it would be shocking. And a lot of parents are sending their kids off to college, maybe for the first time, maybe they're seniors. What do you tell parents? Like, how are kids supposed to prepare for if you enter into a conversation like this? If somebody offers you cocaine, like, any advice for parents as their kids go off?
I just think be honest with them. I think, sometimes we tend to guard our kids and they don't know it. They're kind of, we talked a little bit about this, live in a bubble and they're kind of sheep's being let off to slaughter. You need to be honest and frank with them. And I think a story like this is a good one for you to share with them and say, look, this is what happens. This is what's going on. You cannot get involved in something like that.
Oh, poor little babies. It's not a father's not in the home problem, even though there was a father that was involved, allegedly. It's not a problem within the white community with rampant drug use and violence. No. You think some of these school shooters and some of these university shooters and some of these in and out shooters may have drug problems and are committing crimes when they're coming down off their high and they're fiending? Gee, that's not likely. They're white. Let's go.
I think that's really important, just to be honest, because they're going out to be on their own. They're adults now, right?
Yeah.
You got to be honest with them.
I know I say kids, but we are talking about, you know, 18 to 20 somethings. And then, of course, there was a dad involved in this operation as well.
Wow, she's smiling like she's familiar with this kind of a situation. You know, when I was in college and journalism school and I was doing cocaine off the desk, you know, I was just a kid. Those are grown-ass men. They look like grown men. But they like to infantilize whites or white adjacent people if they're hanging out with the whites. Not now the one dude that looked kind of Arabic, when he's away from the white people, it's a whole different story. They will treat him like a Punjab, Khalil, Muhammad, bomb to my chest ass motherfucker, or whatever. I don't know what his background is, if that's in Italian or what, but notice the kids' gloves. Even the dude next to it, the DEA or the whatever, the U.S. Marshal had to correct them and say, you know what? They're not kids. They're 18. They're men. And they can go to a men's prison. But how much time do you think these guys will really get? Now, if we're talking about kilos and, you know, there might be mandatory minimums there, I don't know. But we're going to see.
This happened, according to the affidavit, between 2023 and 2024, I believe. Yeah. So it's been a few years now. Why does it take so long? Why are we just now hearing about this in 2026?
Well, I think there was a grand jury. You know,
Yep,
grand juries run for 18 months, right?
Okay.
So it can take some time to make the case. And they want to make a solid case, an airtight case. So they take their time methodically doing it. It gets to a point where they know they have them, but they want to make sure it's a really, really cut and dried case before it potentially goes to trial.
Is there anything with, when you're dealing with students like this, any chance that there could have been a student undercover, or would police use, you know, somebody who is...
Notice how they're calling them students, not drug dealers, not dope boys, not thugs, not criminals, not even suspects. They're just calling them kids and students, huh? Okay.
In their agency, but maybe they could have dealt with someone and you were saying they would get them to wear a camera or something like that. Does that happen?
Yeah, I mean, controlled buys are very common. You know, like, okay, you bought it from this guy, go buy another one. We're going to watch you. You know, they frisk you, make sure you have nothing on you. They frisk you when you come back, you know, so they know that it was an actual buy that went down.
Getting someone
that's law
to agree.
enforcement, like, happening all over the world every day of the week. Okay. You know, and I'm sure that's what happened here. It's just, I mean, I've no knowledge, but I'm sure.
From your prior experience.
Yeah, I mean, my prior experience. I mean, that's just the way it goes.
All right, Mike Regan, thank you.
Boy, that was a jovial, cheek-to-cheek grinning conversation. They sure do seem happy. Now, of course, that's not the only white fraternity at a well-to-do school where drug dealing was going on in a major way. In 2010, 5 Columbia students were charged with felony drug sales for selling everything from LSD to Adderall to marijuana. I don't really count that as a drug, but I'm just saying it even made the Daily News Ivy Sleaze, the sleazy Daily News. If that's not the toilet bowl calling the urinal white. Operation Ivy League. Harrison David, an engineering student and a member of Alpha Epsilon Pi. Christopher Coles, an engineering student living in the Intercultural House, a Columbia student and member of PSI Upsilon Adam Klein. Jose Steven Perez, also known as Steven Vincenzo, that must be the dude with the dreads, a member of Pi Kappa Alpha, and Michael Wims, a biology student living in East Campus housing. An undercover officer posed as a drug middleman from an out-of-city college. Over 5 months, the officer made 31 separate drug purchases totaling nearly $11,000. Got their asses with a snitch like it happens every time. The group sold a wide menu of illegal substances out of fraternity houses and dorms, including cocaine, marijuana, ecstasy, Adderall, and LSD. The liquid LSD was notoriously applied to Candies like Altoids and Sweet Tarts. The suppliers, 3 off-campus suppliers, were also arrested. One supplier, Myron Sarzinski, faced separate charges for trying to recruit the undercover officer into a plot to kidnap and torture rival drug dealers. The motive: upon arrest, several of the students openly stated they were dealing drugs to help pay for Columbia's steep tuition and boarding costs. Poor babies. So they pleaded guilty in 2012 to felony drug sales and related charges. Due to their lack of prior criminal records, of course, the sentences varied significantly depending on the severity of their specific sales. Harrison David, who sold cocaine directly to the officer, served 6 months in jail, followed by 5 years probation. The other 4 students avoided immediate jail time by receiving probation, community service, or entry into drug abuse treatment programs that offered the path to clear their felony records upon completion. Columbia University placed the 3 involved fraternities on immediate interim suspension. The scandal ultimately prompted the university to implement the Alpha Standards of Excellence, a strict new regulatory and rating framework for the Greek life campus. Like that worked. And what about an incident that was dubbed the Kingpin of Charleston Ring? Let's take a look.
Now, from the Low Country's news leader, this is Live 5 News.
Charleston police say they've seized thousands of dollars worth of drugs. Picture there, made 9 arrests after a months-long investigation into a drug network here in our city. Police reporter Harv Jacobs tells us authorities say it all started with a tip.
Police Chief Greg Mullins says it's one of the biggest drug busts in the city in quite some time. And he says it highlights that guns, drugs, and violence go hand in hand. This afternoon, police put on display the drugs that were seized. They included cocaine, marijuana, Xanax pills, powdered ecstasy, and LSD. Some of the drugs were hidden in a bag of popcorn. Also seized more than $200,000 in cash, 7 guns, including some powerful semi-automatic rifles, and 4 vehicles. Mullins says there was a connection between the bust and the murder of Patrick Moffley.
The lucrative narcotics business is alive and well, and we certainly want to continue all of our efforts to make sure that we take as much of this off the street as possible, because we know it's destroying many people's lives.
Mullins says as part of the investigation, officers did surveillance, served search warrants, and did undercover buys. Of the 9 people arrested, 8 are from the Charleston area, and the 9th is from Atlanta, Georgia. At Charleston Police Headquarters, Harv Jacobs, Live 5 News.
So how did that end down in South Carolina, the home of the hate-filled, cowardly rednecks? The operation began to completely unravel following the fatal shooting of 23-year-old Patrick Moffley in 2016. The subsequent federal and local investigation resulted in the mass arrest of 8 young men. They had to put that young men in there. Not 8 men, but 8 young men. Yeah, don't forget that the media called Trayvon Martin, a 17-year-old teenager that was underage, a minor, a man. Due to the access to wealthy parents and high-priced defense attorneys, many of the involved fraternity brothers received minimal legal fallout or probation. Mike Schmidt faced the heaviest consequences, ultimately being sentenced to 10 years in federal prison without parole. So he's about out by now. The investigation and trial details outlined in Max Marshall's book. So this guy wrote a book of it and profited. So the tough on crime moniker, big talk, anti-black racist BS is what it is. They do not hold themselves up to that same standard. And who's to blame? Well, of course, the system of white supremacy, but also those that support it, meaning the tethers, the raccoons, the Sambos, the self-haters, the coconuts. The reasoning behind these light sentences is always, well, they're rich. They're too rich to go to prison. They won't survive. People are literally winding up dead in the white community, and what happens to the killers? A nice, light sentence. And if the victim is black, it's even lighter. These weren't kids that were poor and destitute. They must have been doing it not only for the money, but for the thrill. greed, adrenaline, their own cocaine habits that they had to support, allegedly. I don't want to hear that noise about they had good lawyers. You see black people with good lawyers all the time. So never forget who is actually supplying the drugs and who is selling it. If you're a politician, if you are a black person in law enforcement, you should be doing everything you can to reduce sentences for people of your own kind, of your own color, of your own FBA lineage that may be just trying to make a little bit of money. By hook or by crook, however you get it, I'm not mad at you. I would suggest that you do it legally. You'll have a lot less problems and a lot more freedom. But you all let me know what you think. Leave your comments in the box. I am wrong.